It's important to point out that this plan is just a starting point, not an ending place. It provides strategies that can be used before the next school year begins to keep our students safe when they return to school.
This didn't happen overnight, but we darn well better do everything we can to minimize this from ever happening again.
Welcome back. In the wake of the killings at Santa Fe High School, Governor Greg Abbott delivered 40 recommendations gleaned from a trio of roundtable discussions with educators, parents, law enforcement, and victims. Among the proposals, armed school marshals, additional law enforcement, limits on school access and exits, improved alarms, and expanded mental health screening. What was not included was any substantial change to Texas laws governing access to firearms. Former Texas Ranger Tony Leal says that omission makes the governor's plan incomplete.
I can't think of any situation where a person needs to be able to walk in, buy a weapon, and walk out in the same amount of time that it does to walk into Domino's and get a pizza.
Does Texas need to significantly tighten laws governing access to guns? I'm going to start with Bob Price.
I'm going to ask a question back to you. What law limiting access would have changed anything in Santa Fe? There isn't a law that would change it. When someone doesn't already have access to a gun, you can't add more laws on access to stop that person from getting a gun. All you do when you put limits on access is you're putting restrictions on law-abiding citizens from exercising their constitutional rights. So I agree with the governor. We don't need to go there. What we do need to do is we need to harden the targets, which is what the governor's talking about. I'm not sure if this was addressed in the issue or not, but we desperately need to look at the impact and deal with psychology on this issue and the mental health issues that are going on that allow people to get to the point to where they're so desperate that they take this kind of an action.
Nyanza, you're a mom. You've looked at this plan. Are there things you like?
Yeah, I like some things. I do like that we're focusing on mental health. The only issue I have was having the the marshals, the school marshals in the school with the guns. They're supposed to be anonymous. No one's supposed to know that they actually are carrying a weapon. And at the same time, there should be an issue because if they have to keep the weapon locked in a drawer, then if a student does come into the classroom and tries to kill everybody all at once, they're going to have to go find the key, unlock the box, take it out, then try to load the weapon and then shoot. I really think it's counterproductive. So I think that it may have to go back to the drawing board with some more discussions. One of the things that I think is most important is that we did not discuss what types of rules we'll put in place. And I'm not sure if Bob was touching on this or not, but the father that allowed his gun box not to be locked. I believe we already have some law that says that that's not legal, but we're not enforcing it. So if the parent has a child that gets into their locked gun box, I have an issue with that. But at the same time, I don't want you to have a locked box in your home at all times, because if a burglar does break in, like I said, if you can't find the key, it's kind of doesn't make sense for you to even have the box locked. And I'm not a pro-gun person. I just want, if I have a gun, I want to be able to access it whenever I need to.
I think the governor did propose legislation that would up it from 17 in terms of a child gaining access to a parent's firearm, increase that age up a year. I think it's
because that would have captured the gentleman who just did this. Okay.
Tony Diaz, you're an educator. What did you think of this plan?
Well, there's a major flaw. I don't hear the student voices. And there were thousands of students just in Houston during March for Our Lives that have something to say about this. So I tell you what, this is a nice try. We need to have more. But I have not heard from the student contingent. If students are ready, they need to dive in on this. I'm also going to give Abbott a free tip. I'm not going to invoice him for this at all. Look at Scott in Florida. Scott moved as fast, did something on the same level, got some things passed. The most active students for March for Our Lives, when the slaughter happened there, said it wasn't enough. I think you're going to hear the same things on what happens here. I'm going to challenge Abbott and Lupe Valdez. As they run for governor, I'd love to see them meet with student leaders. And I want them to go to the students. I don't like this BS where they say, well, hey, go to our website, find the button, send something in, have the right grammar. I want the governor, the next governor for Texas, I want them to go to several campuses, come to the barrio, come to Aldi, come to HISD, and ask students how to make adults stop killing them and kids stop killing each other.
Okay, I got about 45 seconds left. Marcus,
I just want to reiterate this idea of hardening. And I heard that we're going to put money in there for mental screening, but we've got to go back to the point where we have actual full-fledged counselors counseling our students inside of the school and in the classroom. We have to make sure that we unlock the treasure trove and put money into those buildings where our children spend 8 hours a day. We've got to make sure that we're there with soft hearts, open arms, ready to love on our children. I heard the lieutenant governor say this didn't happen overnight. No, it didn't. Sandy Hook happened 5 years ago. While I applaud Governor Abbott for doing this, it's about 5 years late. That's not true leadership.
important number. There is one counselor for every 500 Texas public school students.
My point exactly.
Okay, got to leave it there. When we come back, hers is the quintessential story, and she's part of our viewership. So we're going to have viewer comments after the break.